What if I told you that a 92-year-old woman has managed to build 3 pounds of new muscle in just 8 weeks? Not maintain it, not slow its loss, but actually gain real muscle at an age when most people believe the body can no longer respond. And the most surprising detail is that she achieved this without eating a single egg. I'm Dr. William Lee, and this patient is one of the cases I have been closely studying. Today, I'm going to reveal the exact food she consumed, a food that, in our research, outperforms for muscle building at an age when most doctors would consider such results impossible. When we analyzed her blood markers, we found something extraordinary. Her muscle protein synthesis rates were similar to those of a person nearly 30 years younger. That single finding forced us to rethink what we know about aging and nutrition. The secret was not simply eating more protein. It was about specific types of protein that carry hidden biological signals that eggs simply do not provide in the same way. If you are watching this, whether you are 50, 70, or even 90 years old, what you are about to hear could change how your body ages over time because it challenges one of the most accepted ideas in nutrition, that all complete proteins work the same way when it comes to building muscle. But before we get into the food itself, you need to understand what is happening inside your body right now. Your muscles are constantly in a state of change. Every single second, they are either being built or broken down. In youth, the building process wins easily. But after the age of 30, that balance slowly begins to shift. The breakdown process starts to take the lead. By the time you reach 60, the decline becomes much more noticeable. By 90, many people have lost nearly half of their total muscle mass. This is not just a cosmetic change. It is a loss of strength, independence, and metabolic health. There is a biological reason behind this. As we age, our muscles become less responsive to protein. You can eat enough protein, but your body does not use it as efficiently as before. Scientists call this anabolic resistance. It is similar to needing more fuel to run the same engine, while the engine itself becomes weaker and less efficient at using it. This is why the diet that worked in your 30s or 40s no longer gives the same results later in life. However, research shows that not all proteins behave in the same way. Some can partially overcome this resistance and still activate strong muscle-building signals in older adults. Certain foods contain compounds that trigger molecular pathways inside muscle cells in ways that eggs simply cannot match. In fact, one of these foods has been shown to increase muscle protein synthesis by around 50% more than eggs in adults over 70. That is not a small difference. That is a major shift in how the body responds to nutrition. Now, this is where things become even more interesting because eggs have been seen as the gold standard of protein for decades. And in many ways, that reputation is justified. Eggs contain around 6 grams of high-quality protein, all essential amino acids, and excellent digestibility. For years, they have been considered one of the best foods for muscle health. But what most people do not realize is that aging changes what best protein actually means. After a certain age, it is no longer enough to just eat complete protein. The body also needs support against inflammation, improved insulin sensitivity, and additional nutrients that help protein work more effectively. Eggs fall short in several key areas for older adults. First, they contain very little omega-3, which helps reduce inflammation in aging muscles. Second, they provide limited vitamin D, a nutrient that most older adults are already deficient in, and which is essential for muscle strength. Third, and perhaps most importantly, they do not provide enough leucine, the amino acid that acts as a switch to trigger muscle growth in aging bodies. Think of muscle building after 70 like trying to start an old machine. Eggs give it a small push, but is often not enough to fully activate the system. What researchers have discovered is that other protein sources can act like a much stronger ignition system, rapidly triggering muscle growth signals in a shorter time window. This leads us to one of the most studied alternatives, whey protein. In multiple clinical comparisons, whey has shown significantly stronger muscle-building effects in older adults. At McMaster University, researchers compared whey protein with egg protein in people over 75 years old. The results were so significant that they repeated the study to confirm it. Participants who consumed whey gained nearly twice as much muscle mass compared to those who consumed eggs. But the most important difference was not just how much muscle they gained, but how quickly it happened. As we age, the anabolic window becomes much shorter. Younger muscles can respond to protein over several hours after eating. Older muscles require a faster spike in amino acids to trigger the same growth response. Whey protein enters the bloodstream in about 60 minutes. Eggs take around 3 to 4 hours. By the time the amino acids from eggs peak, the muscle has often already missed its optimal growth window. This timing difference becomes one of the most important factors in preserving muscle strength, physical independence, and long-term health as the body ages. There is another critical reason whey protein performs so differently in aging muscle, and it comes down to something most people never think about: the speed of cellular signaling. When amino acids enter the bloodstream quickly, they do more than just provide building blocks for muscle. They activate a chain reaction inside the muscle cells that tells the body to switch into growth mode. This switch is controlled by a pathway known as mTOR, which acts like a master regulator for muscle repair and protein synthesis. In older adults, this system becomes slower and less responsive. It is not that the body forgets how to build muscle, it is that the signal arrives too weak or too slowly to fully activate the process. This is where whey protein shows a clear advantage. Because it digests rapidly, it produces a sharp rise in amino acids, especially leucine, which is the key trigger for turning on mTOR. Without enough leucine reaching a certain threshold, the muscle building process remains partially switched off. Research has shown that older adults need a higher leucine dose to activate muscle growth compared to younger individuals. While younger muscles may respond to lower amounts, aging muscles often require around 3 grams of leucine in a single meal to fully stimulate protein synthesis. This is where the difference between food sources becomes extremely important. Eggs, while nutritious, typically provide only around 3 grams of leucine per serving. That means an older person would need to eat several eggs at once just to reach the activation threshold. Whey protein, on the other hand, delivers a much higher leucine concentration per serving, often around 2.5 grams or more, depending on the type. This means that a single shake can get much closer to the muscle building threshold without requiring large amounts of food. It is not just about convenience, it is about biological efficiency in a body that no longer responds as easily as it once did. But leucine is not acting alone. It is part of a group of amino acids known as BCAAs, or branch-chain amino acids, which include leucine, isoleucine, and valine. These three work together like a coordinated system. Leucine acts as the trigger. Isoleucine helps regulate energy use by improving glucose uptake into muscles, and valine helps reduce muscle breakdown during physical stress. Together, they support both muscle growth and muscle preservation, especially in older adults who are more prone to muscle loss. Another important advantage of whey protein is its effect on nutrient absorption and immune function. Whey contains immunoglobulins and bioactive peptides that can help support gut health. This matters more than most people realize, because as we age, digestion becomes less efficient and nutrients absorption declines. If the gut is inflamed or weakened, even high-quality protein may not be fully absorbed. Whey helps improve this process, allowing the body to actually use more of the protein that is consumed. There is also an interesting hormonal effect. Certain compounds in whey stimulate the release of CCK, a hormone involved in satiety and metabolic regulation. This not only helps control appetite, but also improves insulin sensitivity. Better insulin sensitivity means that amino acids are more effectively transported into muscle cells instead of being stored as fat. In aging bodies, this shift is extremely important because insulin resistance often increases with age, making muscle building even more difficult. In practical terms, this means timing and combination become just as important as the protein itself. For example, consuming whey protein in the morning or immediately after light physical activity can significantly improve its muscle building effect. The body is more responsive during these periods, and the rapid amino acid spike from whey aligns perfectly with that biological window. Some researchers even recommend combining whey protein with simple nutrient enhancers such as berries or cinnamon. The antioxidant berries help protect amino acids from early breakdown, while compounds in cinnamon may improve insulin sensitivity further. These combinations are not magic tricks, but they can slightly improve how efficiently the body uses protein, especially in older adults. It is also important to understand that not all whey protein is the same. Whey isolate is more refined and contains less lactose, making it easier for sensitive digestion, while whey concentrate retains more of the naturally occurring bioactive compounds, including immunoglobulins. Both have benefits, but the choice depends on how well the individual tolerates dairy. When preparing whey protein, temperature also matters. Mixing it with cold or room temperature liquid helps preserve its structure and prevents unnecessary breakdown of sensitive protein fractions. Many people also make the mistake of preparing it too early and leaving it sitting for long periods, which can reduce its effectiveness slightly due to oxidation. At this point, whey protein shows a very strong advantage for rapid muscle activation, but it is not designed to work alone in a full day system. Muscle building in older adults is not just about fast protein intake. It is about sustained recovery, overnight repair, and preventing muscle breakdown during long periods without food, especially during sleep. And this is where another type of protein becomes essential in the next part of the system. If whey protein is the fast trigger for muscle growth, then the next piece of puzzle is about protection, because building muscle during the day means very little if you are losing it overnight. One of the most overlooked processes in aging is what happens while you sleep. During the night, the body does not just rest. It continues working, repairing and in many cases breaking down tissue to maintain basic energy needs. This is where many older adults lose a significant portion of their muscle without even realizing it. This process is known as nocturnal catabolism, and it becomes more aggressive with age. As hormone levels change and growth hormone declines, the body becomes more likely to use muscle tissue as a source of amino acids during long fasting periods like sleep. Over time, this slow, overnight breakdown contributes heavily to the loss of strength seen in older populations. To counter this, researchers have studied proteins that release amino acids slowly over time rather than all at once. One of the most effective examples is casein protein, found naturally in foods like cottage cheese. Unlike whey, which digests quickly, casein behaves very differently inside the stomach. It forms a gel-like structure that slows digestion and creates a steady release of amino acids over several hours. This slow release is extremely important during sleep. Instead of flooding the bloodstream and disappearing quickly, casein provides a continuous supply of amino acids throughout the night. This steady flow helps keep muscle protein synthesis active while also reducing muscle breakdown. In simple terms, it acts like a protective shield for your muscles while you sleep. Studies conducted on older adults' health have shown that consuming casein before bedtime can significantly improve overnight muscle protein balance. In some cases, it even leads to a net gain in muscle protein synthesis during sleep, which is a rare and powerful effect in aging physiology. This means the body is not just slowing muscle loss, but actively rebuilding muscle during rest. Cottage cheese, as a natural source of casein, offers several additional benefits beyond protein. It contains bioactive peptides that may help support cardiovascular health and improve sleep quality. Better sleep is directly linked to higher growth hormone release, and growth hormone plays a key role in muscle repair and regeneration. So the effects are not isolated. They are interconnected in a chain that supports recovery from multiple angles. Another important nutrient found in cottage cheese is selenium, a trace mineral that plays a role in antioxidant defense and muscle function. Selenium deficiency is relatively common in older adults and has been linked to reduced muscle strength and fatigue. By providing a dietary source of selenium, cottage cheese helps support both energy production and muscle performance at a cellular level. Calcium is another key component. While most people associate calcium only with bone health, it is also essential for muscle contraction. Every time a muscle contracts, calcium ions are involved in the signaling process. Without sufficient calcium, muscle contractions become weaker and less efficient. When combined with protein, calcium appears to improve functional strength more effectively than protein alone. Vitamin B12 also plays a critical role. Many older adults struggle with B12 deficiency due to reduced absorption in the gut. This vitamin is essential for red blood cell formation and neurological function, both of which directly affect muscle performance. Without enough B12, Even high protein intake may not translate to improved strength because the body cannot efficiently deliver oxygen and nutrients to muscle tissue. Phosphorus in cottage cheese contributes to ATP production, which is essentially the energy currency of cells. Without enough ATP, muscles fatigue more quickly and recover more slowly. This becomes more noticeable with age as natural energy production declines. Supporting ATP levels helps maintain endurance and physical capability. The texture of cottage cheese also makes it particularly useful for older adults. It is easy to digest, requires no cooking, and is gentle on the digestive system, which is important because digestion efficiency often decreases with age. This makes it a practical and accessible source of slow digesting protein. When combined with healthy fats and fibers, such as flaxseed or nuts, cottage cheese becomes even more effective. These additions help balance blood sugar, reduce inflammation, and provide additional nutrients that support muscle repair. Some people even blend it into smoothies or prepare it as a soft dessert to improve taste and consistency, making it easier to consume regularly. For individuals sensitive to sodium, there are simple preparation methods such as rinsing cottage cheese to reduce salt content while preserving most of its protein. Flavor can then be enhanced naturally with herbs or spices without compromising its nutritional value. The key idea is that nighttime nutrition is not just about avoiding hunger. It is about actively preventing muscle loss during one of the longest fasting periods of the day. By providing a steady release of amino acids during sleep, casein-based foods help protect the muscle gains achieved during the day. But muscle health is not only about protein timing, it is also about inflammation, circulation, and long-term cellular repair. And this is where another powerful food enters the picture, one that not only supports muscle maintenance, but may actually help reverse some of the biological effects of aging itself. At this stage, muscle health is no longer just about protein intake or timing. It becomes a deeper question of how the body handles inflammation, oxygen delivery, and cellular repair over time. One of the most powerful foods studied in this context is salmon, not only because of its protein content, but because of what it does at the level of cellular aging. Inflammation is one of the main forces driving muscle decline in older adults. Over time, low-grade chronic inflammation builds up in muscle tissue, slowly damaging its structure and reducing its ability to respond to protein. This is often described as internal wear and tear, similar to corrosion in a machine. Even if protein intake is adequate, inflamed muscles simply do not respond the same way. This is where omega-3 fatty acids, especially EPA and DHA found in salmon, play a critical role. These compounds integrate directly into muscle cell membranes, improving their fluidity and responsiveness. When muscle cells become more flexible at the membrane level, they respond more effectively to growth signals and nutrient delivery. In practical terms, this means the same amount of protein can produce a stronger muscle-building response. Clinical studies have shown that older adults who consume omega-3s regularly experience measurable improvements in muscle mass and strength, even without changes in exercise. In some research, muscle gains improved by around 5 to 6% simply through increased omega-3 intake. More importantly, the muscles became more sensitive to protein overall, meaning the body began responding better to all dietary protein sources. Omega-3s also interact with key molecular pathways involved in muscle growth, including mTOR signaling, while simultaneously reducing inflammatory markers like TNF-alpha and IL-6. This dual action helps shift the body away from breakdown and toward repair, which is essential in aging physiology. Another important nutrient in salmon is vitamin D. While often associated with bone health, vitamin D plays a direct role in muscle function. It binds to receptors in muscle tissue and helps regulate protein synthesis. Deficiency in vitamin D is extremely common in older adults, and correcting it alone has been shown to significantly improve muscle strength and physical performance. Salmon also contains astaxanthin, a powerful antioxidant responsible for its pink color. This compound helps protect mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside muscle cells. As we age, mitochondrial function naturally declines, leading to fatigue and reduced endurance. Astaxanthin helps slow this decline by reducing oxidative stress and supporting cellular energy production. Selenium in salmon adds another layer of protection by supporting antioxidant enzymes such as glutathione peroxidase. These enzymes help neutralize oxidative damage that accumulates during both exercise and daily metabolism. This protection is especially important for preserving muscle tissue over time. Creatine is another naturally occurring compound found in smaller amounts in salmon. Creatine plays a direct role in energy production for muscle contraction. While the levels in salmon are not as high as in supplements or red meat, they still contribute to improved strength and power output when consumed regularly as part of the diet. However, not all salmon provides the same benefits. Wild-caught salmon, particularly from regions like Alaska, tends to have higher omega-3 levels, more vitamin D, and naturally occurring astaxanthin. Farm salmon often contains lower levels of these nutrients and may include added colorants instead of naturally developed pigments. Preparation methods also matter. High heat cooking techniques like frying or grilling at very high temperatures can damage delicate omega-3 fats, reducing their effectiveness. Gentler methods such as baking or steaming help preserve these compounds and maintain their biological value. For those who cannot access fresh salmon regularly, canned wild salmon still provides many of the same benefits at a lower cost. Even the bones in canned salmon are soft to eat and provide additional calcium, adding another layer of nutritional support for muscle and bone health. Alongside animal-based proteins, plant-based options also play an important role. One of the most underrated examples is hemp seeds. Despite their small size, they provide a complete protein profile along with an ideal balance of essential fatty acids. Hemp seeds contain edestin, a highly digestible protein that closely resembles proteins found in human blood plasma. This makes it particularly easy for the body to process and use, especially in older adults with reduced digestive efficiency. Their omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is also close to optimal for reducing inflammation, unlike many modern diets that are heavily skewed toward omega-6. They also contain gamma-linolenic acid, which has been shown to reduce inflammation and improve recovery from muscle stress. This can be particularly useful for older adults dealing with joint pain or slower recovery after physical activity. Another key benefit of hemp seeds is their arginine content, an amino acid that helps improve blood flow by producing nitric oxide. Better circulation means better delivery of oxygen and nutrients to muscle tissue, which becomes increasingly important as cardiovascular efficiency declines with age. Magnesium in hemp seeds supports muscle relaxation and energy metabolism. It also plays a role in activating vitamin D, making it indirectly supportive of many of the benefits seen in foods like salmon. Without sufficient magnesium, many of the body's muscle-related processes become less efficient. Iron, zinc, and phosphorus further support oxygen transport, immune function, and energy production. Together, these minerals help maintain overall muscle performance and recovery capacity. What ties all of these foods together is not just protein content, but how they interact with aging biology. Muscle loss is not caused by a single deficiency, but by a combination of reduced hormone signaling, inflammation, slower digestion, and weaker cellular response. Each of these foods addresses a different part of that system. When combined properly, they form a nutritional strategy that supports muscle growth, slows age-related decline, and improves overall physical resilience. The key takeaway is simple. In aging, it is not just about eating more protein, but about choosing the right types of protein that still communicate effectively with an older body.